Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive, ultimate human dilemma: how we actually make decisions and achieve true autonomy. We are taking some deeply complex philosophy and turning it into clear, actionable steps. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. What really drives your biggest life decisions? Is it your logic or is it your feelings? Think about it for a second. When you're standing at a major crossroads, like choosing between a totally stable, maybe slightly boring job or a really risky dream career, do you pull out a spreadsheet to crunch the numbers? Or do you just follow your gut, driven by this deep, undeniable emotional pull? It's literally the age-old question, and how we answer it completely dictates how we experience our own freedom.
Section 1. The head versus the heart. Logic versus emotion. To really understand this classic everyday struggle, we have to look at two opposing philosophical heavyweights. On one side, representing the head, we have Immanuel Kant and his concept of universal law. And on the exact opposite side, representing the heart, is David Hume and his absolute focus on human emotion. For a very, very long time, these two perspectives were seen as completely at odds with one another, like oil and water. Let's unpack Kant's side first. Section 2. Kant and universal law, the rational foundation. Let's just slow down for a second and really look at Kant. He represents this incredibly disciplined rational foundation. For him, universal law is all about rational principles that you justify through pure reason, rather than just relying on what you personally prefer. It's kind of like a mathematical equation for morality. It's true whether you personally like it or not. Kant believed that true autonomy, genuine freedom, requires an unwavering commitment to this reason. You literally have to step back from your immediate urges and act on these overarching logical principles. If you aren't reasoning your way to the right action, you aren't truly autonomous. Taking it a step further, Kant introduces categorical imperatives. Basically, these are strict moral commands that you absolutely must follow, regardless of your personal desires. To put that into everyday terms, these are the rules you follow even when you really, really don't want to. It's a disciplined respect for yourself and for humanity at large. You do the right thing simply because logic and universal reason dictate that it is the right thing to do, period. Your feelings, they just don't factor into the equation. Section 3. Hume and human emotion. The role of passions. Now, what's really interesting about this is how completely different the other side of the spectrum looks. If Kant is all about cold, hard logic, Hume is the complete opposite. He argued that human actions are just not primarily driven by reason. Instead, they are entirely fueled by our passions, our emotions, and our sentiments. They're rooted deeply in what we feel, what we value, and what we desire. Think of it this way. Reason might be the GPS telling you how to navigate, but passion is the engine that actually gets you moving in the first place. From Hume's perspective, our big life decisions aren't born from purely rational deliberation. They literally burst forth from our feelings. Logic alone doesn't get us out of bed in the morning to chase a difficult goal. Intentionality and emotional states do. Section 4. Synthesizing reason and passion. So we've got this massive philosophical traffic jam, right? Kant's strict logic crashing into Hume's burning passion. How do we actually move forward? Enter the Professor Marcini's HC model. This model is a brilliant synthesis that finally resolves this intense philosophical tension. And the absolute secret to this entire framework, if you take nothing else away, remember this, is to cultivate enjoyment of universal law, and everything will fall into place. That's it. You don't have to choose between logic and emotion anymore. You merge them. You take the strict rational principles of Kant, and you apply Hume's positive emotional states directly to them. You learn to actually enjoy doing the rational right thing. When you cultivate that genuine enjoyment, that exhausting internal war finally ends. When your positive emotional states align perfectly with universal law, it's basically magic. You are no longer just acting rationally out of this cold, rigid sense of duty. Reason and emotion become teammates instead of rivals. You are authentically expressing your true character because you're doing the right thing, and you genuinely feel good about doing it. That's when everything falls perfectly into place.
Section 5. Autonomy in the social world. Autonomy in context.
Now, it's one thing to talk about all this philosophy in a vacuum, but we really need to ground this synthesis in the real world. Why does this matter in your daily life? Well, the Marcini's HC model is refreshingly non-prescriptive, and it relies heavily on something called relational autonomy. This basically means you don't exist in a bubble. You are defined through your relationships and your social environments. Your autonomy is being actively shaped by the people and the culture around you every single day. The model completely acknowledges our real-life social context and our individual differences. And because we are so deeply shaped by our environment, true autonomy doesn't just happen overnight. It actually evolves. First, you recognize your social environment. Next, you consciously reflect on your own value within it. And finally, you internalize those standards of behavior. It's a dynamic, ongoing journey of moral maturation over time. You reflect on your place in the world, and eventually, society's logical rules become your own deeply held personal standards. And this brilliantly illustrates why the framework is so incredibly powerful. As the research states, the model respects the meaningful choices and varied values embedded in our social world. By recognizing relational autonomy, this model admits that individuals are going to have firm, completely differing opinions on what autonomy actually means to them. It doesn't judge. It simply provides a flexible framework that honors those meaningful choices and all the diverse definitions of freedom we carry. So, the crucial point is, how do you actually achieve true control over your autonomy using the HC model? Well, it requires your internal emotional drivers, your passions, and your external rational commitments, your logic, working together in perfect concert, never in conflict. When you bring the head and the heart into alignment like that, you achieve the ultimate framework for mastering your own life. Once again, cultivate that enjoyment of the rational principles, and you truly master your decisions. I want to leave you with this one thought to really chew on. Are your current life choices driven by internal emotional conflict or by a harmonious, rational commitment? Are you fighting yourself every single day, or have you found a way to align what you know is right with what you deeply feel? Keep exploring these ideas, keep questioning your own drivers, and just see how aligning your reason and your emotion completely transforms your life. Remember, cultivate enjoyment of universal law and watch everything fall into place. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I'll catch you next time.